As a single professional, I had debt and no savings after my divorce. I always wonder how I can start investing in real estate to secure my future. I studied programs that gave me all the benefits of investing in real estate. Some claim I could start with no money, but I could not find one that gave me the practical, actionable steps I needed. As a wealth advisor, I've met people that own real estate but weren't ahead financially. They were rich, but they weren't wealthy. Then I finally realized that there was one vital component missing that makes someone become wealthy or not. And on this show, I will reveal what I found and give you the step-by-step actions to start investing in real estate and increase your wealth. My name is Araceli. Let's get started. Welcome everyone. This is Araceli, Transition Wealth Advisor, and I'm a real estate investor in the US and Canada. And today I have a very special guest with me, and he has a fantastic story on how he became a real estate investor. So Ronnie Banerjea, he lives here in Canada with his lovely wife Sujata. And Ronnie, please, can you introduce yourself and tell me what you currently do?
Sure. Hi, this is Ronnie. I am an entrepreneur, been one for over 20 years. I own a couple of tech companies that I'm directly invested in and a real estate portfolio.
Okay, well, that's awesome. So Ronnie, what was it that made you start investing in real estate? Like, how do you see the value in it?
Right. Like I said, I started investing in technology companies first, but then I usually build it. 5 years later, when it's at a peak point, I sell it. But when I started looking at generational wealth, that's when I realized that building a tech company and paying 50% of my proceeds of the sale to the government, how do I protect my returns when I invest in a tech company and I exit? So that's when I started looking at real estate. And, right from the Rockefeller days in the US, we all know that, the markets might go down, but it's going to come up again because the number of people globally is not shrinking. It's actually growing exponentially. And when we look at a place like Canada, where we are looking to bring in between 400 to 500,000 people a year for the next 10 years, that demand is just going to go through the roof.
Exactly. So that's why in Canada, we have seen an exponential growth in the prices of property. And it's because of the demand that we have. And people continuously are looking for places to live in, and they can't find anything, so they overbid. We have like 10, 20, sometimes more offers in each one of the properties when they become available, right? So tell me, what was the first thing that you decided to buy? Like, why did you do that?
I had actually moved from US to Canada many years ago, 20 years ago. And we were supposed to be for 2 years. So we were renting a place. And then after the third month, I realized that I could easily buy a house with a down payment and a mortgage. And why not build some equity? And it was quite cheap at that time. I'm talking of 1998.
Yeah.
So I bought my first house over here in Lone Park, paying barely $300,000. And in today's market, those houses are going for $2.5 million. So that was my first home. But then my first investment was actually, I was having dinner at one of my neighbor's house, my next door house. And they were looking to sell, and I suggested to them, I had very little real estate experience at that time. And I suggested that, why don't you sell it to me? You'll save the commission of 5%. Let me buy it. And the house was needed a lot of work. So I bought it. I did ask for forgiveness from my wife afterwards, but she was not too keen. We were planning to move back.
Yeah.
And that's how I bought my first one. Literally over dinner, my neighbor said, I'm looking to sell the house. I saved them 5%. I got a great deal and then fixed it up and rented it out. And I did move to California for a little bit, so I ended up selling both the houses, actually double my money in a short period of 4 years.
Wow, that's amazing. So when you had your first house, with very little experience. How do you end up getting all the contractors and getting the repairs done? Do you have any issues?
Plenty. I don't think there's very few people that will say that I had an easy time with the contractors, because even after doing this for over 20 years, there is still an issue, and especially nowadays because there's such a shortage of skilled trade people. They will sign a contract with you, they will say, okay, we are going to come, they don't show up. And these are people that I've worked with for over 10 years. So yeah, I hired a general contractor, and he had his team. The house next door, it was a complete rebuild. So 6 months later, when he was over budget, he just decided to abandon and change his number.
Yeah.
So I learned the hard way that don't give most of the money up front. Do it in stages. Also, what does roughen means and what does underpinning means. So I learned a lot. And I was hoping that I would learn it the other way, the easy way, but I learned it the hard way.
Yeah, I think we all do. Like, we think that it's a little bit easier. And the reason that I put together this podcast is because a lot of people come from different places, and sometimes you have a harder time than others, right? But at some point or another, you still have to deal with contractors, with realtors, and so on. And there is really no easy way to do it until you actually do it. And then you go through the issue, and then you fix it, and then you learn for the next property. Right. And there is really, no matter how many books you read, how many courses you take, until you do it, is that when you're actually learning the skill, right?
Absolutely, 100%. Unless you do it, no book or no seminar is going to teach you how to be a real estate investor. I know there are a lot of people that does you pay $500 and you attend that event. Basically, they're asking you to search for a property and you come to them and they co-invest in it. But once you buy your first investment property, then you learn the nuances of actually rebuilding one, especially in Canada, and each city also, like in Mississauga versus Oakville versus Toronto, there's so many nuances that you have to work with the city hall. It's mind-boggling.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And every state or province, they have their own little things, because I did lots of my flips in Ohio, and I have it in different cities within the same county. And each one of the cities, they have different requirements. You needed different permits, lots and lots of different things. So that's why, if you're going to be doing a flip or rent a hold, that you can actually take a look at what is required in your own municipality. So that's very, very important.
Yeah.
So then you said that you were to buy some condos, right? So how has that worked for you?
The condos worked out really well. Again, this was by the Mississauga area. We did pre-construction, and you have to just make sure that you buy an assignment, that there's a clause. You pay there are certain builders that waive the fee for assignment. Some people, they charge for it. If they charge for it, you're going to factor it into your profit that you're going to do. Usually, I say in Mississauga, where there's a lot of immigrants that are coming in, they're looking for not a $5 million home or a $3 million home. They're looking for the first condo, which is $600, $700, which is still affordable in today's days for the people that are coming in with some cash, especially from the Middle East. It went actually pretty well. We had 6. We made pretty good money on all 6 of them. We did try to rent one. I decided at that point that I'm not a good landlord. I think I'm a better investor. Because I'm not a good handyman. And that's one thing for anybody that wants to go in real estate investing. If you have a good crew around you, you don't have to be a handyman. Just make sure you surround yourself with some good, trusted contractors. It's like in any business or anything in life, you can't be good in everything. I understand technology, but I really couldn't tell you. I do understand underpinning and all that now, but I won't be able to do it. So that's one thing I decided not to be like a landlord, but more as an investor. So I'm still looking. I still do a couple of assignment condos, but I'm looking more into buying houses now that because the returns are bigger and it's shorter period, because I got a tear down, I'll build it, or I'll do a reno where I just keep the 2 walls, and it's a quicker return. I put a target, and like I said, from a tech background, so I have everything, flow charts and everything. I want to know when it's going to be done. I hold my contractors accountable to it. I work with lawyers for the last 25 years, so I write a pretty good contract, and I hold each other accountable to it. So I focus more on houses and condos.
Yeah. So that actually, you hit a couple of points here. First of all is you got to know yourself. If you're going to start investing, like you said, no, I don't want to be a landlord, right? But if some people are looking for cash flow, maybe being a landlord would be the best idea. If you're looking for chunks of money in a short period of time, then probably flipping condos or flipping houses would be the best idea. And then the second point that you highlighted, it was that you need to have the team, because you said it perfectly. You cannot know how to do everything. I'm pretty handy, like I can do painting and I can do minor repairs. I can even change a light fixture. But the thing is, it's either you do it yourself, like if you can do everything, but that's going to cost money because you're tidying up your time doing the repair, even though you do it. Sometimes I just say, you know what, I need a contractor to do the entire job just because I don't have the time.
Right.
Plus, I do it remotely, so I can't be there to fix a wall or to fix anything, right? Even though it's a small job. So that is very important. And if you are not, the only thing that you need to be good at is to select the team, right? To select the people that are actually good at what they do.
Right.
So how long did it take you to actually create that team that you work with?
I'm still creating that team. Because the moment I have somebody, after a couple of projects, they decide they're too busy to come. So you're constantly on your toes. I don't think you ever have a team that is going to be with you for the longest time, unless they're working for you full time,
Yep.
like Mattamy Homes and all. They have a
Exactly,
team
yeah.
that is working for them. But if we are just investors and that we are looking flipping homes, you constantly have to be on the lookout, ask around, ask your contacts. Somebody knows somebody who is a good plumber.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to touch one point there, Araceli, that
Yep.
I want to make sure that people that are listening, I know how to change a light fixture, and I think I can get away with some plumbing work.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't do it because in one of the houses, actually, we built a house. We put a house of Blue in Islington area, and we tore it down and built it, and it's a few $1 million. It was bought by a famous athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a leak, and his insurance came in and she said, okay, who put this plumbing in? And it was a licensed plumber. So he had insurance, this guy had insurance. Now, if I would have done it, I'm not a licensed plumber. So one has to be very careful, especially if you're going to do flips, or even if you want to rent it out. And if it's something that you could have issues later on,
Mm-hmm.
I would strongly recommend to spend that extra few bucks, get a licensed contractor in to do the work, because God forbid something happens, at 1 out of 10, you got to have a licensed person who is doing the project.
Absolutely, and that is another excellent point that you make here, because yeah, you can do minor repair. I don't think they'll sue me if I didn't paint properly, right? That's kind of the extent that I do. But anything to do with plumbing and electrical, especially if you have to move locations, sometimes you want to make another bathroom. In one of my houses, I actually had to move the sink just because the kitchen was so old that the design was not, it wasn't practical. So we had to move the sink. So no, I wouldn't do that kind of job, because that takes more of somebody that is experienced, and it could cause a lot of damage. Water and electricity, my goodness, you can damage and just burn the house down, or have a leak that it could damage everything, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that is true. So if it is not something that is very, very, very minor, don't do it. Yeah, it's better that somebody else does it.
Yeah.
So now, if you were going to start all over again, like, what would you recommend a beginner investor to do?
Start with a small project. It depends. Like, it's a very broad question, so I'll try to keep it short. If you're going to do a flip for a house, go for the smaller house outside of the city. Toronto, you can't get any flippers under 2 million now. If you're looking for Toronto, or just in the Etobicoke area. So go a little further away. Go to Orella, go to Ottawa, and try your hand at it. Or go to Kingston, or go to like at least an hour and a half away. Go to Waterloo, maybe. Try your hand at a smaller one. However, the disadvantage is that your contractors or the people that you know is probably local. So try to get somebody who will travel there with you. If you're going for a assignment condo, I look at the financial markets quite closely. I know there's a rate hike coming, and everybody's saying it's a point under 50 points. And if that happens, a lot of people that have a mortgage of over 1.5 million, they need to find a new job or another job to pay for that increment. So what are they going to do? They are probably going to sell, and they're going to move to a condo or a townhouse, which is slightly cheaper. So then all of a sudden there's a lot of expensive homes. Now, I'm not an expert. I'm not a financial guru. So everybody is saying the markets will crash, the housing market will cool down. It's not happening. If you're starting out in a condo market, look at where a lot of people, the professionals, are going to hang out. Toronto markets dropped for briefly, and it just went back up again. So Toronto is always a safe bet. Mississauga Square 180, where they're close to transportation. Always try to get a transfer, because if somebody is buying a condo for $600,000, chances are they will look for something that they have public transportation. A lot of them will not, because to get a parking nowadays, to buy a parking with a condo, it costs between $50,000 and $100,000. A lot of people are not getting that. So what happens? They don't have a car. So if they don't have a car, they look for a public transportation. So find a place that is close to public transportation if an assignment. Now keep in mind, your money is tied up for the next 3-4 years. So you have to be patient. Do not put, I tell anybody, I tell even my family, do not put your life savings, all of it, into investments. Remember that if you lose the entire money, you will still be okay. And it's a very important lesson. People don't realize that. It's the same thing like I don't gamble at all. I go to Vegas to eat the food, but people go to
the shows.
And the shows. And you take a little bit of money, put it in the poker table, whichever your fancy is. If you lose, you just walk away. You won't, be starving following day. Same thing like real investment. Do not put all your eggs in one basket.
You make an excellent point, and that is one of the things that I always tell people, and when I work with my clients, the very first thing that you need to do is to know your financial position. How much of that money you're going to be putting away towards a property or an investment property. Because like you said, if you take everything and something goes wrong, or especially like if you're going to tie up the money 3 to 4 years before you can actually see a return, you don't know if that builder is going to go bankrupt and your funds are going to be tied up for longer and you're not going to get any return, right? And if they return your funds, you may not get anything, may not get a property at all. So all of these things has to be factored in what you're doing. So that is a very good advice. Please, to the listeners, listen to Ronnie, because he has been investing quite a bit and successfully, because he understands the financial position is the most important. And putting just that little chunk, then you don't have to worry about the rest of it. So that's excellent point that you make. So tell me, what are you currently working on?
I'm actually putting an offer on a semi this evening.
So are you going to do a flip, or are you going to keep it?
No, I'm going to do a flip. I don't want to be a landlord. And interestingly, the house that is adjoining, we're doing a complete reno. Like, I'm gutting inside and making it into a 2-story right now. It's going to be like an 8-month project. So the next door, which they have the same wall, they said, why don't you buy my house? Because there'll be a lot of noise as soon as the sign went up. So I said, sure, for the right price. So I've given them an offer. I'll get to know by midnight tonight if I get it. Yeah.
But that's an amazing idea, and they're together, so you can just work on both of them at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Because if I send my plumber, he can work on both the houses.
Of course.
One on the rental project, one on the other project.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you have it. So for everybody that, Ronnie has been successfully doing flips, fix and flips. That's his strategy. So if you're still unsure about where you want to start investing, start thinking, what is the best strategy? Do you want to be a landlord, or do you want to just flip houses? So that is the advice for Ronnie. Everything worked as a fix and flip, and it worked perfectly. So, and then you just keep reinvesting what you make in the properties, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. That is an amazing strategy. So I really appreciate you being here. So now, if the listeners want to contact you, how would they do that? What is the best way to contact you?
By email.
Okay. So what is your email?
It's Banerjea. So that's RBANERJEA @hotmail.com.
That's amazing. I really appreciate you being here and sharing your experience, because
my privilege.
People want to see what everybody else is doing, because I think that when you see people doing it, then they believe that they can also do it themselves. And this is a great example. Thank you so much, and say hello to your lovely wife, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Take care. Have a great day.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you for being here on the show. Please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified when there are more shows available. And if you would like to have more information on how to start investing in real estate, please visit my website at www.aracelihernandez.com. Thank you.